We'll use a marker to draw onto the latch to give us a mark to drill. Removing this broken pipe is nearly impossible using a wrench or pliers. We can use 2 bolts and a screwdriver to get the job done. We can attach this bolt to this socket to make things easier by drilling. We can use this snap blade to open up old padlocks. We'll bend the blade in half and then cut off one edge on both sides of the blade. Now we can slide the blade between the shackle and the case to pop open the lock. To paint clean and even edges, we can cut the bristles off of this paintbrush at an angle, then screw a plastic card onto the back of one side. This will give us a clean line. We want to make sure to apply Teflon tape to metal fittings. Make sure to wrap clockwise, which is the same direction as the fitting. We can use a drywall knife to better clean up this bucket. Instead of moving the knife up and down, scrape in a circle around the bucket. This axe needs a new handle. Our new handle doesn't quite fit right now. We'll make a few marks along the top of our axe handle. Then we'll make cuts along the marks using a handsaw. Now we can use a couple of balloons to squeeze the handle together. Now we can hammer the handle into the axe head. We'll fill the cuts with glue and some wedges, and then cut off any excess wood. Now we can add a finish to the handle. If we need to remove paint from this roller tray, we can add a few thin layers of paint, letting each one dry in between coats. That will make it easier to pull up the paint in one single layer. When applying mounting tape to this metal frame, we can use a smaller piece of the same frame to line up the tape along the outer side. We can temporarily attach these 2 metal frames together using a couple of screws. We'll first drill our holes, and then we'll make sure to install the screws at about a 45-degree angle. Our next tool that we'll be making is good for connecting 2 metal wires together securely. We'll start by removing the head from this bolt, then drilling a hole through the center. We can use a magnet for any metal dust. Next, we'll use an angle grinder to cut out an indentation in the bolt. Now attach nuts to both sides. We can pass the wires through the hole in the bolt and out through the indentation. Now when we tighten everything together, the wires won't slip. If you happen to run out of caps for your PVC pipes, you can use a straight fitting and a coin that matches the size of your pipe. Next, we'll be using this pipe welding machine to connect the fitting to the pipe. Now the coin will act as a cap. We need to install this T-joint onto this pipe. First, we'll cut the pipe that runs along the wall. We'll use our pipe welding machine again to connect the fitting to the bottom half of our pipe, and then to the pipe that passes through the wall, and lastly, to the top half of the pipe. To make sure that this spray gets on the lug nuts and not on the brake pads, Try using the top of this plastic bottle as a funnel. To make sure that these two pieces of wood are level, use a hammer and a screw to hold the boards in place while we attach the two pieces together. Wrapping the wire around the terminal like this isn't going to hold. Instead, we'll remove some of the plastic from the end of the wire like usual. Then, we'll cut an additional piece of plastic and move it to the end of the wire. Now wrap the wire around the terminal back on itself and then tighten it back down. We're having a hard time removing this bolt with these pliers. We can make our own DIY socket wrench. Insert a same size bolt into a pipe and then hammer on all sides until the pipe matches the shape of the bolt. Now we can use this to loosen the original bolt. Here's an interesting trick to make pocket holes. Drill a large hole in the center of the stud and then 3 pilot holes inside of it. Then, drill the screws into the pilot holes to attach the two pieces together. For our next project, we'll be modifying these pliers to turn them into brick tongs. We'll start by cutting off a couple strips of metal and then welding the larger piece to the handle and the smaller piece to the jaws. Secure the longer handle into the vise and bend it to a right angle. Now we can comfortably carry bricks. Sometimes it can be impossible to fill a larger bucket with water because it just won't fit into the sink. In these cases, we can attach foam tubing to the faucet and then place the other end of the foam tubing into the bucket which we set on the floor. Now we'll be making a DIY sandblaster. We'll first need to cut out a hole from this pipe and flatten one end. Next, we'll need 2 bottle caps. We'll cut out a section on the top of this bottle cap that's the same width as the pipe so that it can fit inside. We'll drill a hole into the other bottle cap and then screw the 2 caps together. Place the pipe through the incision and then line up the 2 holes. Fill the bottom cap hot glue. Next, we can fill this bottle with sand and attach it to the bottle cap. Now with an air compressor, our sandblaster can clean our tools. If we've lost the caps to these nozzles on our glue bottles, we can just use drywall anchors as a substitute. This is called a marlin spike hitch, and we can use it to make a rope ladder. We'll wrap the rope around the rung 3 times, and then wrap the middle loop around the back. We can do this on both sides of each rung to make a rope ladder. To undo the hitch, just pull it off and it will come undone. Now let's make a modification to our soldering iron. We'll remove the tip and secure it in a vise. Then we'll cut off the tip with a hacksaw and make a vertical incision. We'll then cut a snap blade into the shape of an X-Acto knife blade and attach it into the incision. Now we can heat up our blade to make our cuts. We need to make a new handle for our screwdriver. We can make one using hot glue and baking soda. Heat up the hot glue and the baking soda together using a heat gun. Mix everything together until it forms a thick paste. As it cools, mold the handle onto the shank until the paste cools to a hard plastic handle.